community
It wasn't voted,
shed.
David. It wasn't voted.
Did you say it? Wasn't.
Do we have a second?
Those in favour, I did.
Yeah, you did, yeah.
Anyone against?
I can't remember who said aye or no. I'll go against, please. Yeah, I didn't say yay or nay. I didn't think it was voted. I'm sure it wasn't.
Would you like it recorded, Councillor Buddy?
It always gets recorded. Thank you, Your Worship.
You don't have to record it.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Your Worship.
All right. Ella, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. This report is being presented to Council today purely because of timing. The Men's Shed Group have an agreement with the Taupo Lions Club to purchase its building on Pickling Park Reserve, subject to Council agreeing to grant a new lease, and that agreement expires on the 30th of November. So I'll take the report as being read. Happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Ella.
Your Worship, excuse me, Your Worship. I think I might have to a conflict of interest.
Should have done it at the start of the meeting, Councillor.
Well, it's on the park that's
got his name on it.
it's got my name on it, so I think I might just.
We'll record that, Councillor. Councillor Park.
Just in regards to this, Ella, when we renewed the lease for the Lions, there was some concern about the state of the building and how untidy it was. There was a lot of, so just. I see this purely as a mechanical item, but I just hope that in that lease that there'd be something around, the maintenance of the building and the garden sort of area around it.
There will be, and there's already been some improvements made, and I'll continue to work with the club occupying that building on those matters as I have done.
Great, I'm happy to move.
Yeah, through the
resolution.
Just through the chair. Do the Men's Shed propose to use upstairs as well? They do. Okay, thank you.
Just to add on to that, I think the Men's Shed have indicated that they may bring an application for a sublease at a future point, just for some clubs to use that upstairs space, but they haven't put anything in writing as of yet.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that.
Chairman, the Men's Shed appear as though they want to purchase the building, so without the lease they can't purchase. So we just have the lease.
Councillor Park.
Yeah, just in that, it is a sad, it's a good day for the Men's Shed, of course, but it's a sad day to witness the closing of a club, Taupo Lions Club, which has been an incredible course over the years, and it's just probably a sign of the times, but the amount of projects they've completed, Lions Walk being the major one, and there's a few of those founding former members around still, so I will convey to them our gratitude over the years, and I don't know if anyone's been members of Lions here, but it's quite a sad.
I helped to build the club rooms.
There's still, with me, there is still one Lions club active in Taupo. There was two. There's Paikiki Lions and Taupo Lions.
Right.
This is Taupo Lions, Paikiki Lions, which does
Lakeland Lions as well.
train.
No, there's Lakeland Lions.
Lakeland Lions.
And Paikiki Lions, and this was Taupo Lions.
That's right. So the other one, the one that does the train, is still active. This is, I think, original members, the likes of Neil Ladbrook, I think Walter DeBont, I think.
Tony Waldron.
So this club
Tony
was
Waldron.
did the formation of the Lions Walk.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
That's a good
Sorry,
idea.
sidetracking the issue a little bit, Ella, but so I think Councillor Park, did you move that resolution?
Yes, Your Worship.
Stuart, second. Oh, sorry, Councillor Stewart. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Item number 14. Taupo CBD licenses to occupy outdoor dining areas. Additional one?
Just made the note there, as we start up before Ella does it, we also have another page, so if you want
Yes.
an additional page.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's got item 14 written on the top.
Hui.
So you'll recall this time last year Council looked at this matter and it was decided to continue the status quo for a term of 1 year. So today we have the opportunity to re-look into those issues. One of the matters was the fees. We've had a independent market valuation done which suggests that the current fees are below market rental. This report recommends that the fees are simply adjusted by inflation from the commencement of the existing licence, just to acknowledge the benefits of outdoor dining and to assist business owners to continue outdoor dining and promote that experience, while enabling council to continue to receive some financial return for the occupation of public space. Another matter raised during that initial council meeting this time last year was whether the system was working and whether we had captured all of those businesses who were occupying public space. So you'll see in the paper that's been handed out to you, those are the business owners who require a licence to occupy, who are currently occupying space, who will be part of our application, if you like, for the licence to occupy. So the system is generally working really well. It provides income for council and ensures that the outdoor dining continues in a well-managed way.
But it doesn't say how much.
That's probably
By inflation as of December 13.
Okay, Councillor Park. Thank you, Dom.
Oh, sorry, Your Worship. Just out of interest, Ella, what's the sort of difference between what we actually get for fees and the market? Is it a huge gap?
So that's in the financial considerations section of the report. It varies. The methodology used by the valuer means that it can vary quite far, depending on how much space, but we're about halfway point of what the market valuation is.
And it's completely up to us whether we come into line with that. We don't have to, do we?
No, so that's a guideline for you. Like anything, you get to choose. Do you do that? Do you meet that, or do you fit somewhere between, or do you look at a staged approach? Last time, a lot of the discussion was around the ability of these hospitality businesses to pay, particularly in the current economic climate. And on the other side of the coin, you wanted to encourage, or there was discussion around encouraging the use of these spaces. And if you look at Hiahia Street, the use of the new spaces that we've created through the upgrade program. So that's one of those balances. But totally at your discretion. Obviously, with knowledge of the impact of that. If you price too high, then potentially people, if they're not getting the return off those tables, will take them away. And in which case, not only do you lose the income, but you lose the people sitting out there in the product. But likewise, you don't want to undercut yourself, and ultimately, these businesses are extending their premise and therefore their turnover by trading out there. So it's a balance. It's a balance that all councils all councils of vibrant towns have to tackle, and probably a good challenge, because it does mean that we are vibrant in terms of that sort of activity.
Great, thank you.
So up till now, we've just been adjusting them how often?
7 years is the last one.
They haven't been adjusted.
They haven't been adjusted.
No. Yeah.
Due for adjustment. And inflation is a fair way to go, really.
Inflation's very small.
Mr. Chairman, last year we got all the breakdown of all what the rentals were on each individual business. How do we now judge as a council what's the rate of inflation, say 2%, how that's going to affect each individual business? Because in here you've got the wording about adopting a subsidised approach. When are we going to get to the market level? Or are we going to say the market level will be the inflation from the start of this year? That'll be the new market level.
To get to the market level, as Ella's talked about, would be a considerable movement, and we're not proposing that. I guess, like anything, it's it's based on a square meterage basis. So a CPI or a percentage increase would be proportionate to the amount of space that the business has got, and therefore the amount of, in theory, turnover and revenue they're making off that space. So the ability for them, or the exact dollar amount that they're paying is probably less relevant for you in your consideration rather than the percentage, because they could reduce their size. For an example, if they feel that they want less space, they just withdraw some of that space.
And if I can just add to that, the percentage of inflation for the previous year, it's very small. It's around 1%.
You could make any percentage choice that you wanted. It could be that you do 2%
so
if
we went back 7 years and said it's now X, like it might be $100, and they're paying 50, do we go to 75? Here, I can't make any decisions actually how it'll affect each individual business. We've got different square metres, etc. How do we actually work out what we're actually saying?
I guess you could look at it from a percentage perspective, so it doesn't matter how much they're paying, but they'll receive the new licence fees and look at how they've increased on a percentage rate.
So is it 10%, 20%, 30%?
That's up to you to choose.
Well, that's my point.
What we're saying is that you're 50% of the, around rough terms, 50% of the market rate at the moment. So the market rate is 50% higher than what we're charging. It's up to you how much percentage on what basis that you charge. It could be a 2% per annum, or it could be a 5% per annum that you charge. We can give you the absolute breakdowns of how much those businesses are paying, but we'd have to do it outside of the chamber just because it's commercially sensitive information. But it's around the principle, I guess, in terms of is it a 2 or a 5% increase, or do we go straight to market rate now? Our recommendation to you, and this is an issue that's been around for some years since the start of just when they came up for renewal was at the start of the global financial crisis, and so subsequent councils have decided let's just hold the line. So the question now is, do we start to catch back up?
Councillor Harvey?
I'm firmly of the opinion that we don't increase at all. Business is still very tough for, I'd say, most of the hospitality businesses, unless we can look over their individual their individual turnover over the last 7 years and do it on a case-by-case basis. I don't know whether that's possible, and just see whether they've increased their turnover. But I think it would be extremely unwise to increase it.
We're only suggesting to increase it by inflation, which is 1%.
I still
2%, and just try and
I still think that we've got to be very careful.
10, 20, 30% or anything like it's 1%. Well, what's the current
Has
rate?
anyone sought any feedback from the business owners?
I've spoken to a couple of them individually. They obviously don't want an increase, and some of the feedback that I've had is, hey, look, our landlord is giving us rent decreases at the moment you'd be going against, but then when you talk about inflation and the fact they haven't had an increase since 2007, they can understand that as well. So I think, that's the feedback I've had. That's only been from one or two individuals.
When I read the last paragraph in the financial considerations, in my view, the value is trying to have $1 each way. That would be the broadest range of conditions related to evaluation, and we're arguing as to what we charge when the value themselves in that last paragraph cannot even be specific.
Just out of interest, and not picking up on anybody, but just examples. When you take the likes of the furnishings store on Hiahia Street, which always has stuff out the front, and then there's a souvenir clothing store on Tongariro Street that always has tables out the front. How do you, should they not be captured as well as these hospitality businesses?
This is, you're allowed 1 metre from your door and your window, so this is only areas in addition to that permitted 1 metre. So you'll find that there are some, for example, some eateries and cafes that don't appear on this list, but they do have tables hard up against their window, and that is the free element that we allow anybody to do.
Just one point, sorry. In the recommended resolution at the end of 1, it says 1st December 2013. I think probably should be 14.
Councillor Cousins and then Councillor Hickley.
No, that is correct.
I think it is,
It hasn't adjusted for the last 12 months. That's why I put that date.
You held it last year on the basis that we come back to you now. On that.
Right. Okay.
Just on response to Councillor Harvey's statement about look at their books, I think we get out a very real ass as sued if we started trying to do leases based around people's financial performance. For me, I'm quite happy
Just to see what they, if any of the
Leases and malls are based around their financial turnover.
Sorry?
Leases and malls are based around their financial turnover.
If you open up, ask individual and you can base the lease around what they earned, we get a bit of spot and bother. I'm happy, Councillor wants to say something, but I'm happy to remove the recommended resolutions 1 and 2.
I'm just looking at, I don't know whether I'm looking at it correctly, but like the rental for 12 square metres
is 585 per annum. That's no more than $2 a day for 12 square metres, is that? $2 is, I think that's pretty cheap, personally. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's like our rates are going up, but it's only a cup of coffee a day. It's the same, Mary.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of what lease areas are in the CBD, $2 per 12 square metres is...
I take, yes, I take Councillor Ickling's point, but and also probably from a financial point of view, you look after your seniors, the dollars take care of themselves. But in this instance, I think like take Councillor Harvey's and Councillor Cousins' view, I would strongly support the recommended resolution as well.
I guess just a point to make too, we have to enforce this too, don't we? So it costs council to enforce. Looking at the range of these rates, I think that the rates are very, very fair. And as long as we've got an assurance that everyone's been treated in the same way and been charged the same way, I would support the resolution too.
So what are we saying by inflation? What are we?
So about 1% really.
My query, and I queried Mr. Green before, is just make sure everyone's actually paying that. Like everyone, like we've got someone that's been around and monitored the whole in the particular areas too, because some of them will take some go across the road and all that sort of thing, don't they? So as long as someone's doing that, surely that's happening. So.
All right, Chairman, could I call on our financial wizards at the top table? If we're going to give 1% on $580 something, what's that an increase of?
I suppose the issue is, what are you trying to achieve?
We want to get back onto an even. Yeah. This is going to be yearly from now on. CPI adjusted.
Do you want to have a vibrant area, or do you want to have empty footpaths?
Vibrant areas, but boy, a 7-year non-movement ain't bad.
Just to clarify though, Councillor Boddy, is it every year they'll get a slight increase?
Yep.
So what we're doing is we're going to...
Well, it won't go up, it'll keep up, what they pay goes up, but it keeps up with inflation rather than gets cheaper and cheaper over the years.
And that's what the document states. The current fees are increased by inflation from the commencement date, which is 1 December. That's right.
What's confusing me, Your Worship, is I was under the impression, particularly when we've been talking about rates increase, that it's more like 2%, 2.5%.
Depends on
rate of inflation, and this is only 1%.
We'll use the proper rate of inflation. I think it depends on the period that you're talking about. What Ella talked about before was the half-year period because of the 1st of December 2013. But we'll use the official figures.
Okay.
No. We'll use the official CPI figures.
All right.
I just think we're sending it.
Okay.
Is that okay, Councillor?
No.
It's 50 cents. Well, it's $5.
No, I don't want any. But that's all right, I'll vote against it.
That's all right.
I'll do a John Body.
$5.
I'll do a JB.
Someone's moved that, I think, did they? Yeah, I did. Yep.
Moved, second.
Councillor Jollins. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against?
And noted, please.